welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of July. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box. There's a link down there that will help find your birth chart for free. And then you should come back and watch the videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs, because they'll give you a better idea of what's going on with you overall. Sorry for speaking quietly, it is like 5 AM and everyone in my house is asleep. So, except me, obviously. So I'm trying not to wake anybody up. Just a couple of things to say. 7th of July marks my year anniversary of being on YouTube. I think that's like a Tuesday night or something. So on July the 5th, I'm going to do a live stream and I'll pull some cards if people are interested in that. I think I might have a competition or two as well. Basically just have a bit of a get together and celebrate this life-changing journey that has been my year on YouTube. So for that, join me. What else? Hope the retrograde isn't affecting you too badly. It's kind of knocked me for six a little bit, to be honest. Very nearly yesterday unleashed a torrent of curse words on Twitter about how dreadful the retrograde was, but actually it turned out in my favour, so I didn't bother in the end. Other things, lovely people on Patreon. Thank you so much for the vote of confidence. I only launched it sort of last month, and lots of you have jumped on board already, and considering it's only a donation tier at the moment, the vote of confidence in the work that I do has been tremendous. I'm deeply in your debt, so thank you. Right. So, one woman walking down the street in very purposeful fashion at 5 AM. Anyway, let's get you some cards. 3 cards for Sagittarius. First card is the Chariot. It's a card of Cancer in the major arcana. It's a card of the self, discovery of the self. And that seems to be something Sagi's been doing a lot of recently. 2 more cards for Sagittarius, please. High Priestess. Ooh. That's interesting. At the bottom of the deck we've got the Page of Pentacles, and that talks about, actually followed by the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords talks about leaving old things behind, right? And there can be old thought patterns, old people, old situations that you found difficult, things like that. The Page of Pentacles is a new start. It's a solid new start in the 3D. But it's also about learning the value of something. And Sagittarius, I think for you, it's really starting to understand your own value. And that is super important. And I say that because the Chariot is so bound up with the notions of self. Right? We've got 2 cards there that are talking very strongly about that. Let me throw some of this in here. Okay, right. We'll just get some clarifiers and then we'll get on with this. So that is, of course, if I can find a deck to clarify with. We're going with the Triple Goddess today. So let's give these a shuffle to see what is what. Oh my god, that smells so good. Sandalwood, just in case you're interested. So, where's the Chariot here for Sagittarius, please? No answers at all. I'll try that again. And there's that one. Got the 7 of Wands. Chariot for Sagittarius. Why is that here, please? Someone's up. What's the Chariot here for Sagittarius? Ooh. Got 2 cards. Got the Magician and the Chariot again. Double message from the Chariot. I'll put those there. Wow, movement. We've got the 8 of Cups and the Knight of Cups, which I really like. What about the High Priestess, please? That's the High Priestess here. There's a lot of cards trying to click. Falling out sideways, which is not acceptable. We have strength, and we have the King of Wands. At the bottom of the deck, a card that's been trying to come out half a dozen times there, the World. End of a cycle, Sagittarius. I love it for you. So, the first card that you've got is the Chariot, and like I said, this is completely bound up with notions of self. So, self-identity, self-discipline, self-governance. Complete autonomy, right? It's moving in your own direction, under your own steam, towards your own goal successfully, right? It also talks about balance and alignment, right? And this is quite important because this is something that I've seen for Sagittarius over the course of this year. A gradual shifting of your 3D environment to suit the changes that have gone on within for you, and these changes have been going on for a year now, probably as long as I've been doing readings on YouTube. I've seen this happening, but it really picked up a pace in New Year, and now you're feeling very much stronger than you ever have done before. We've got this laurel wreath here up in the corner. It's like whatever it was that was keeping you bound and trapped before, you've eliminated that from your life, and now your focus is purely on you and how you move forwards for your own goals, right? Goal setting, that kind of thing. And that's a 7 as well. And I see 7s as very spiritual numbers, because where the 6s are, well, okay, 5s are the chaos and the disruption. The 6 are moving away from that. The 7 is when you kind of manage to get enough of a distance from something that you can now start to look at it objectively and make changes and shifts in your life, integrating those lessons that you've learned. And we have here 3 cards to clarify. 7 of Wands is the first card, and that is, it's dealing with, not only is it a 7 again, and it's Wands, so it's your energy. It can be defensive, it can be guarded, or it can be protective, and that's what I'm feeling for you now, Sagittarius. This feels like a protective energy. Right? Like now you have started to develop a sense of yourself that is other, and so in being that way, more pure version of you than just your associations with other people. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you've been a partner, or X, Y, and Z, and you've kind of come out the end of quite a big cycle by the look of it. Huge cycle, and you're really finding yourself, but you're being very protective about the gold, right? The good things that you see in yourself now, the strides that you've made this year, you don't intend to let anybody sort of take away from you, which I really, really like. Now, the other two cards that came out to clarify were the Magician and the Chariot. And I think this is very telling as well, because not only do we have the Chariot twice, and therefore, you know, this sense of self-identity and self-value and balance and alignment and all these kind of things, not only is this doubly stated, not only are you super protective of it, but actually it's put you in a very, very powerful position, because for the first time in a very long time, you are starting to understand your own power, right? You're starting to understand your ability to be able to co-create your existence. And it seems like you've run with it. This is in the past position. But I mean, even this Magician card, where usually we've got a dude and he's got a wand in one hand and he's kind of pointing at his table, you know, it's kind of acting like a lightning rod between, you know, whatever is up there and what he wants to manifest in the 3D. This character is sat balancing bubbles, you know, the lightest of touches, and yet able to bring all of these things to bear. Right? It was growth, Saji. I really, really like it. Now, what you've got in your current energy is the 9 of Wands. Now, that's your card. That's, I forget. It's a Sagittarius card anyway. I was going to tell you what planet it was in, but I can't remember. And this talks to me about, well, sometimes it can talk about being a little battle-worn and somehow needing to continue fighting, but more often it speaks about boundaries. And I think that you're really starting to understand the value of boundaries, because, and in order to do so, we must assume that the natural corollary of that is that you didn't have them in the right place at points in your life. You know, maybe people have taken advantage of your good nature. Maybe people have asked too much of you. Maybe just people's opinion has meant too much to you at times in the past, right? But notice how this is a work in progress. With other 9 of Wands cards, generally the wands are all up and erected, and there's a chap kind of leaning on it, looking all fucked up and stuff. But this was a work in progress, and I really, really like that. See, the crow is picking them up and he's erecting them. The work that you are doing on yourself right now is really, really important, and it will actually set you up very well for the future. The boundaries are in place because you now see the value of what you are, right? You're getting a sense of self that is, again, like I said, other than any other kind of sense of self that you've had before now, but it's pure you, and you're ready to protect it at all costs. But not at the risk of closing up and becoming selfish or anything like that. This is like, boundaries keep you safe, right? They don't keep other people out, they keep you safe. And if anybody gets too close to the boundary, you're like, back off, right? I have this here for a reason. And anybody worth their salt will pay attention to that, right? The only people who will complain about you erecting boundaries are those who benefited from you having none, right? So it's a really good way of seeing who's supposed to be there and who's not, because if they can't, if they come in and try and start trampling over these, then, you know, bid them farewell. But the point is, you are in the act of erecting boundaries at the moment, and this can only serve to really cement the progress that you've made this year. It's really, really good. And emotions are really high on your priority list at the moment, because we've got 2 cups here. 2 cups. Fucking Mercury retrograde, I swear to God, I cannot speak. 2 cards of cups. We have the 8 of cups and we have the Knight of cups. And I love this because just as you're at the end of a cycle, right, I get a real sense of you releasing things and letting things go. Right? As we see here in the 8 of Cups, you are moving away from those things that no longer serve you, right? Those things that have kept you feeling trapped, those things that have maybe had people not acting in your best interests, right? but you were too emotionally close to them to see that happening. And this is you just kind of putting your coat on and your scarf and your walking stick and saying, no, fuck this. This is not for me anymore. And it could be actually that not only are you walking away from emotional situations, but maybe you are walking away from emotions that you have felt that were from a different life, like they're not relevant to you anymore. You know, maybe there's possessiveness or jealousy or, you know, anger or fear or any of these things. Like this work that you've done, you know, restoring your own equilibrium, honouring your own duality, just like, these aren't me. Like, there's no point in me carrying these cups around because they're not mine and they don't do anything for me. I'm just going to stack them up nice and neatly here, and I'm going to go and find something more commensurate with the type of energy that I'm bringing out into the universe now. Right? And what energy are you bringing out into the universe? Well, it's the Knight of Cups. Like, what I quite like about this is the fact that, like, obviously in the Knight of Cups hand there is one cup. It's the Ace of Cups. And you put 8 and 1 together, you've got 9, and 9 is wish fulfillment, right? That's what that card is. But more than that, it's about really, really understanding what you want, what makes you happy, and what you intend to bring into your life. Right? And you are really, really working on this at the moment. And it does very much have a seat in the emotional. Right? So you are now moving, you are now on horseback. Right? You've gone through the walking away, and you're in the act of walking away, but you are walking towards something much more emotionally fulfilling for you, something that suits you better. You know, looking at the horse on here, right? That's you on your horse galloping forwards, but this is also you. You know? Maybe you haven't been able to express your emotions in the way that you wanted. Maybe the circumstances that you were in did not allow you to be able to express them the way that you actually felt them. And this was causing this kind of disruption because there was a mismatch, you know? But again, you're moving under your own steam now, under your own direction. And the value of that cannot be overstated, because in doing so, you have tied up a major cycle in your life. This is the World card here. You know? Just notice got the duality of light and dark here too. There's a kind of transcendent quality to this card that I really, really like. But just as you end, one cycle, you begin another, and here you are. I love this for you. So, what's coming towards you in July is the High Priestess. Now, this is really interesting. Because the High Priestess, it's a card of Pisces for me in the Major Arcana. And she speaks about wisdom, like inner wisdom. And it seems to me, straight from the off, that you're really starting to connect with yourself in a way that you have not before. You're starting to trust your intuition because you're connecting with emotions that are yours, purely yours. And aren't you reacting to other people so much? It's almost like you've stopped reacting to things and you've started acting. So by definition, you've kind of stopped paying attention to things outside of you that don't really matter in a way that you might have done before, right? Because you are focused on a goal. You're moving forwards now. Yeah. There's nothing quite like a centaur that's kind of picked a target and is now galloping furiously towards it. You know, there's no ambling going on here with you, Sagittarius. And even if you don't have a set goal in mind, like an end point, an end result, you are moving with intention now, rather than just kind of drifting around. And you're getting back in touch with your intuition, right? You're starting to trust yourself. You're starting to trust your understanding of your own emotions. And this is super, super empowering. Yes, thank you. Don't even know where that came from. This High Priestess is really, really interesting to me because, like the Magician we've got all 4 elements depicted on the card. I mean, we've got the wand and the cup down here, pentacle on the moon, and the sword up next to the High Priestess, because she is the natural counterpart to the magician. So this is more balance, more duality, right? Where the magician is masculine, the High Priestess is feminine. So the magician is about bringing things to you in the 3D, but the High Priestess is about the innate knowledge, the innate wisdom, connecting to your higher self, potentially. It's very spiritual. But, masculine, feminine, light, dark, duality. Duality. This sense of alignment with you, Saggy, is powerful as fuck. It really is. Now, the 2 cards that came out to clarify that are, interestingly, 2 cards of Leo. We have Strength and we have King of Wands. Now, it could be that you are dealing with a Leo. That's possible. And if you are, I would assume from here that actually they're very supportive and they're helping you along this road at the moment as a sister fire sign. If you don't have a Leo in your life, then it seems like you're channeling some of the Leo energy. Because when I see Strength, it talks to me about growth, right? My heart used to sink a little bit when I saw this card, because the only times you'd ever really see Strength is when something difficult, would come along that would require you to act on that great reserve of strength that you have built up through surviving adverse circumstances by giving you a fucking another one, right? And I was like, But I see it more broadly now, because challenges and obstacles are how we grow, they're how we learn. Here it is. Your sense of self is growing to the point now that it's having an effect on everything else internally for you, right? So you can trust your inner knowing about things because you have grown into it. The other thing this card talks about is healing. I also see Reiki in this card quite often too. I love it though. Look at the green. It's all heart chakra colours. Your emotional state is so stable right now. It's actually kind of, I'm impressed anyway. And we've got this King of Wands. And this King of Wands, like I said, it's strictly Leo energy, but it could well be yours, actually. You should be taking a leaf out of the Leo's books, right? The word that I'm hearing over and over again is stability. And it's almost like you're taking a leaf out of Leo's book, because Leo is fixed fire. I'm kind of seeing that it is possible to be your fiery selves, but also to be your own kind of, your own foundation, I guess. Because that's what feels like it's been missing for years for you, was your own personal foundation. You were just kind of a mix match. There you go. That's what I was after. I completely confused for a second there. A mix match of reactions to other people's needs and wants and desires from you, right? So you just were this capable person in the middle of it. He was just pulled 40,000 different ways to do this for this person, do this for this person, because you had skills and whatever. And actually, somewhere in the middle of that, Sagittarius, you got lost. Like, you, pure Saggy energy, was just a bit lost. So now here you are, stepping up, being very active, fire, but also very stable and very firmly foundationed. I really, really like this for you. Look at this morning light. It's absolutely stunning. I'm not usually in here this time in the morning. It feels like you've got on top of a lot of stuff. I'm noticing that this King of Wands is actually scribbling in a diary down here. Like, maybe you've spent a bit of time kind of being a little less fractured with your time and your energy. You're really starting to focus now. This is the other thing, that really strong focus. And even if it's not towards a particular goal, it's almost the way that you approach the notion of developing a particular goal. Okay? it's really exciting, Sagittarius. I'm really pleased to see it for you, because like last year there was so much frustration. You're always kind of like screaming into the void because you knew something was wrong about the setup that you had, but you didn't really know how to fix it. And then, you know, you had a couple of months this year where everything was just really, really hard while you kind of threw all your chips up in the air and see where they landed. But they have landed, and the dust has settled, and you are well out the other side now. And it feels like everything is stabilizing. You are stabilizing. You've changed your perspective on a lot of things, and you are really getting in touch with your inner space. I really, really like that for you. So I'm going to leave it here. There will be an extended. It'll be down in the description box. So if you're interested in that, just go and have a look. But if this is where we part ways, no shade. Thank you very much for being here with me, and I will see you very soon.